All right, good evening. The time is now 5:30, and we'll call this February 8th meeting of County Council to order. We'll begin with an invocation by Councilman Trimble, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Ray, will please stand.
Pray with me. Lord, we come to this public gathering searching for your will and how we conduct our private lives and our public business. Please watch over and guide all those here present today and prosper us according to your bounty. Give us a vision of your wisdom as we conduct the public affairs of Lawrence County. We ask these things in full confidence of the sufficiency of the sacrifice of Jesus Christ for us. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Appreciate all of you coming out this evening. We'll jump right into the approval of the agenda for February the 8th.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rankin, second by Ms. Clark. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Here none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approval, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Next, we have two sets of minutes to approve, one from the workshop on January 22nd and one from our last regular session on January 25th. We have a motion for approval of the minutes.
Call for approval for the minute for January 22nd, 2020, the workshop, and January 25th, 2020, regular session.
Motion by Ms. Clark.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carey. Are there any additions or deletions to the minutes?
I have one, but it's so minor that I can just talk with what Cheyenne about it. It's a flow of one sentence, but I make it mine.
Okay,
Oh,
clarification. Absolutely.
It's just not, so it's just a flow of one sentence I had, but I want to just look at this.
All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes from January 22nd, January 25th, 2020, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right, well, we do not have any reports to council this evening, so we'll jump into old business. Are there any new submissions for county boards, commissions, or committees? All right, here none, we will jump to public hearing on ordinance 913. I will call on county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Project Bike Road, and I'll ask Jonathan if he will step up and give you the final details on this. It's now called Blue Diamond Industries. This was your formerly known as Project Micro.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excited to announce Blue Diamond Industries, this Project Micro, $18 million investment, create more than 90 jobs, and they're going in the former Shaw flooring building on Torrington Road. They'll be making plastic conduit pipe that you see on the big rolls, that electric lines, gas lines, Broadband is obviously a big thing on that broadband, fiber, and cable, those things that they put in the ground. So, plastic extrusion, they've got, in the press release, that the governor's office will be putting out tomorrow, we'll have the career, page on there for people interested.
Councilmember, have any questions for Mr. Coleman? That's fantastic news. We always enjoy new announcements and industrial growth in the county.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that all being said, the time is now 5:34, and I will open the floor for public hearing, ordinance 913, Blue Diamond Industries, as known as Project Micro. Anyone who wishes to speak on this public hearing, please step to the mic and state your name. Seeing no one, we will close public hearing. Now we move on to third and final reading of ordinance 913 regarding Blue Diamond Industries. Do I have a motion for third and final approval of ordinance 913?
Mr. Chairman, I move for third reading of approval of ordinance 913.
Motion by Ms. Anderson,
Second.
a second by Mr. Carroll. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Third and final reading passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Coleman, and your team at LCDC for all your hard work on bringing this project to Lawrence. Next, we have second reading on ordinance 914 to provide and adopt Lawrence County electoral districts based upon the 2020 census. I believe Strickland laid a package of our desk with the current map. Most of you have already viewed it and worked with her, Mr. Crookshanks. It's been sent off to Columbia for their review, and they are supposed to get back with us by Tuesday, which will be before any of our public meetings, which are scheduled for February 15th at 6 p.m. in Clinton, Bailey Municipal Center, where Clinton City holds their city council meetings. The next one is February 17th at 6 p.m. in Gray Court at Gray Court Town Hall. And the last one will be back here in these chambers on March the 8th. It will be during the 5:30 council meeting. So those are the 3 dates for public hearings for that map. I encourage anyone who desires to attend one of those meetings and take a look at it and give your feedback. Mr. Crookshanks, do you have anything to add before we call for a motion on this ordinance?
That's right. I just want to thank Cheyenne and the whole team in working this out. This has not been an easy task, and we're right there at the finish line, and hopefully the folks in Columbia will let us know that we have met or exceeded the guidelines that have been set forth.
Wonderful. All right. I'll now open the floor for a motion on second reading of ordinance 914.
Motion to approve second reading ordinance 914.
Second. We have a motion by Mr. Carroll and a second by Mr. Tripp. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm voting against it at this particular time. I even had someone that even asked me just before I came into the meeting, when were we gonna have some community participation? And so I have to I told them we were supposed to have had one on last Monday, but, yesterday, but we did not put it in the paper early enough to schedule it. And also that one was canceled. So, I just want to let you know that people are asking about it. And so, that's the only way I just feel like I'm representing them in that particular area, is that they're concerned and they want some input.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that's the one that was scheduled yesterday in the Gray Court that's been moved to the 17th, which is next Thursday. All right. Is there any further discussions or questions on ordinance 914? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote on the second reading of ordinance 914. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes 6-1. Ms. Anderson in opposition. All right, next we have second reading on ordinance 915, which is the premium pay for county employees. I have a motion for approval of ordinance 915 on second reading.
Motion to approve ordinance 915, second reading.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Rankin. Is there any discussion on second reading of ordinance 915?
Just in the way of discussion, I'd like to see at some near point in the future how we deal with the volunteer firemen relative to this happening for this measure today and look forward to a different solution to that issue soon.
And I'll be glad to address that too. We are, Mr. Higgs is working on it, even into the wee hours of the evening, with NACO and the state association. There is a way to do it, and they're going through all the legal channels to make sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. And I believe as soon as he has the plan, he'll be able to present it to us. He is, and myself, we're working forward on that and look forward to presenting that as soon as we can.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there anybody that under the label of part-time employee gonna be exempted out of this number?
I know that obviously we will, and the election commission are exempted out of this number. I'll call on Mr. Bolton if he has anything to add to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are approximately 16 employees that are part-time. Some of them didn't work at all last year, or haven't worked in over since January 1 of last year. So those people will come off if I believe the ARPA guidelines have, if you extrapolate the amount of money divided by the bonus, the premium pay that you can give, it brings it down to a minimum. They have to work to achieve that. Those hours, they would have to work 115 hours for the year. So if they don't meet that threshold, they would be removed from the list. And it's going to be approximately, I think, 12 or 14 part-timers out of it's 460 employees will get compensated. The people that don't meet that threshold are about, I think it's about 16 employees.
They are part-time.
They are all part-time. Or there are some full-timers that started in January, so they've only been here a month or so. There were some in December, but they haven't met the threshold of working those 115 hours to qualify for that time by the date of that y'all set up. I think it was the Saturday work session.
All right, is there any other discussion? Thank you, Mr. Bolton. Hearing none, I will now call for a vote on second reading of ordinance 915, premium pay for county employees. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed. Motion passes 6-1 with Ms. Anderson in opposition. All right, next I'll call on Mr. Higgs for to go over with us the ARPA funding applications.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Included in your packages are 2 application forms, and they're pretty straightforward. One is a grant application for infrastructure. The other one is the application for the other category entities that suffered loss due to the COVID-19 pandemic, nonprofits, anybody who has that justification to the claim set forward in the Treasury's final rule. These are 2 applications, and I know the next item on the agenda is about the timeline, so we'll get to that, of course, next. But these applications are sort of a qualifying process to make sure they meet all the parameters. Those applicants meet all the parameters set forth in the Treasury's final rule to make sure that we're doing the right thing as the county who oversees these funds, and make sure the recipients are doing the right things under the rule of the Treasury. So again, they're pretty straightforward. I'm open to any suggestions, any additions, anything I need to take out, but I think these are pretty substantial applications that will quite frankly take care of the application process and make sure everybody's treated fairly.
Anybody have any questions, comments, recommendations for Mr. Higgs on these applications? If not, I would like to call for a motion to approve the applications as submitted by the county administrator.
I'm moving for approval of the application, for the application process that was presented to us this evening for the American Rescue Plan.
Motion by
Second.
Second by Mr. Carrick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote on approving the applications for Lawrence County ARPA funding. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes 7-0. All right, next I'll call again on the county administrator to discuss the timeline.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. In front of you also in the packet is a proposed timeline. I think the main thing we wanted to accomplish in this timeline is to leave the application period open for a little bit longer than your typical 30-day deadline, and we didn't want to run up on a hard deadline. The reason being, going back to the applications, because they are substantial, there is a lot of information that needs to be input into those applications. We want to open our office as a resource to those entities filling out those applications. So the timeline is as follows. If council approves the timeline tonight, the application period would open February the 14th. I believe that's next Monday. Applications would close April 1st, and then there will be a review process. And then that review process will close the 29th of April, and then an announcement of the recipients of those grants will be made probably at the following council meeting if this is the will of that council. So to kind of get into the review process a little bit, that again is at the will of this council, but this would give staff adequate amount of time to go through those applications to make sure they meet the Treasury's, qualifications in the final ruling. And then make that recommendation to the council. The council can then go through the applicants and then make their recommendations. Council would also be privy to every single applicant we get. You wouldn't have to worry about staff throwing one out because we didn't like it. Every single applicant will be available for your review. But that's the proposed timeline as of right now.
Just for clarification, when it says reviews close, do you anticipate us hosting a meeting between April 1 and April 29 to go through those? Is that the plan?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Whether it be a regular council meeting or special call meeting, however y'all want to determine.
All right. Go ahead.
Will these applications be accessible through the county website?
Yes, sir. So we want to have hard copy applications and we want to have them on the website. And I haven't expressed this to the IT department, so they may be mad at me, but I'd like to set up an inbox for that application process as well. So somebody can inbox that email address asking for a copy and we can electronically send it in to them. And they could also submit their applications back to us via that email address for hand delivery or the postal service. So we want to give everybody a fair shake and give as many opportunities to go through this application process as we can allow.
Questions?
I said something to you a couple weeks ago about broadband up in my area, and you told me to find out the services.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you take the ball and run with there as far as application go, or what would be the process?
So broadband, sir, if you recall, we put that into a different category of our ARPA expenditures or allocations. That was within its own category, and I think we were looking at $2.5 million. This pool would be an additional $2.5 million that we're talking about through this application process. So as you mentioned, AT&T, I was communicating with AT&T today. They're reaching out to try to figure out a way to tackle the broadband issues. So that'll be a whole nother proposal coming to this council separate of that application process. Correct. It'll be a total different ballgame.
I don't want to get that on the 29th.
Yes, sir.
All right. Are there any other questions? Only suggestion, I guess, just we want to make sure these are as available as possible to the public. Obviously online, I know we'll have some at the administration counter, but I think we might put a few at the front entrance to the courthouse so they don't have to walk all the way around to the administration side to pick them up. And then just as they are turned in, I think a signed receipt of who dropped them off and give something to them to let them know who was received by, so there's no issue on, well, I dropped it off, did you not get it? And anything like that. We want to avoid any issues down the road when we get to the end of this. So I appreciate y'all's hard work on putting these together, and I know we use resources from our neighbors and partners in the municipal sector to get these going. So I do appreciate y'all's due diligence. So that being said, I'll call for a motion on approving the timeline as proposed before you, which is the applications open on February 14th. Applications must be submitted by close of business April the 1st, and we will review closes with us on April the 29th. Do I have a motion to approve that timeline?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rankin, second by Ms. Clark. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Fantastic. And I encourage the public who may have questions as we go through it to reach out to the staff or any of us. We'll be glad to do anything we can to answer any questions we can for you. I'm sure it'll be somewhat complicated, but once you get the application, I hope it's more self-explanatory. So, but any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and don't wait till on March the 30th to ask either. So, all right. Next, we will move into item on new business, which is consideration on the comprehensive security plan in Hillcrest. I'll call on Mr. Higgs again for that one.
Thank you again, sir. In your packet, you'll notice a breakdown of comprehensive physical security plan for the Hillcrest complex. To take it back in time a little bit, council passed a resolution 2020-51C. That was about providing security for our judicial sector inside the building, and talking with our public works department as well as staff, and in meetings with the judicial team, we discovered a need to expand that security presence. And it's broken down here in the plan. Really, when we talk about security, a lot of these are sort of not physical security, but more or less AED machines, first aid kits, things like that. As we're a public building, if heaven forbid something were to happen, we need to be able to respond to that issue accordingly. So this is really just an addition to that initial council resolution previously approved to expand those services a little further to protect both employees as well as citizens and visitors to the complex. And I'll entertain any specific questions about the plan. I know you've had time to look through it.
Just for clarification on the finances, if I understand correctly, the balance is sitting in the bond that we issued for this project, and the funds weren't originally there, but due to the due diligence of our employees and strong bidding, we were able to have a surplus there at the end of that bond and want to use it to complete this project in full, is the way I understood it. Is that correct?
Absolutely, sir. That'll come from the 2019 bond issue.
Are there any questions for Mr. Higgs on the comprehensive security plan?
Timeline on trying to do any of this, or when we getting started?
I have a team waiting to move forward the minute you say yes. These are things that really we're playing catch up with. It should have already been in place. Yes,
Make a motion to approve the comprehensive physical security plan for Hillcrest with the amount approved being $77,166.90 as submitted.
Second. A motion by Mr. Carroll and a second by Mr. Rankin. Are there any other questions or further discussion? I know there are a lot of folks that will be glad to see this project come to fruition. That being said, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of approving comprehensive plan not to exceed $77,166.90, please raise your right hand. 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Higgs. There being no further business on the council agenda, we will move to public comments. We have several this evening. We have never, at least in recent history, set a timer or held back anybody from speaking. All I've ever asked is that you be respectful of your neighbors. As we go through, there are 9 people on the list tonight, so I just ask you to be respectful of everyone's time. We'll start at the top of the list. Mr. Stubbs.
Council, I guess you could call the council.
Yes, sir.
It's my first time at home meeting. I'm retired Air Force. I've been in North America for 30 years. And we're having a serious road problem at 830 Cheek Circle. I don't know if y'all have anything to do with this or not, can't even drive down that road hardly anymore. There's about 30 residents, so most of them are elderly. Emergency vehicles have trouble going around. From what I understand, I have been told it is a county road, but right now it's just a county mud road. The ditches. My son-in-law is with me today. Welcome to my Orange County neighbors. I'm not sure if this is the right forum to address this. But what can I have done to have that road fixed? It's a short road. It's not a major project. If I have to go see the governor to get money for Orange County, I'll go down there. But there's a lot of elderly people there that need assistance if an emergency vehicle has to come down that road. They're gonna get stuck. My son-in-law's had to pull, I don't know how many people out. He may speak next. But like I said, I'm not sure if this is the correct forum for this, but I just wanted to make my voice heard. Like I said, it's the first time I ever attended one of these things, so. What do I do?
Well, first off, this is exactly what this is for the public to come and speak. I said, this is exactly what this time period is for the public to come and speak, so this is definitely the right forum.
We've been working on this for a while.
I would like to, I hate to call him out, but if I'd call the public works director, Cheek Circle, is that a county road?
Is he here?
He's right behind you.
No, sir.
Yeah, so let me tell you what we've done thus far, and I want to thank Reverend Kennedy for getting a meeting together. I met with several of the citizens out there. Cheek Circle is a private drive. It is not county owned, it's private. It is in horrendous condition, a very bad condition. And I've been working with Reverend Kennedy to try to get together a battle plan to try to find some funding to bring that road up to county standards.
Thank you.
Initially, and this is at a very high level, we're probably, to bring it to county standards with asphalt, we're probably looking at about a $200,000 project before, if needed, any utility relocation. So that's where we stand. So we plan to get together and, as you say, try to find some funding from our state or other sources.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Who's it belong to?
That is a very difficult thing to find out sometimes, and saying is over there green. So what we
Usually on
normally,
private roads of that nature. The way
Private
they're
road,
being,
is, doesn't Orange County know who owns it?
if it's not our road, no, sir, it would not necessarily be our responsibility to determine
It's
who
got a
owns
street
it.
sign that says Cheek Circle.
I understand that, but normally those lots are deeded to the center line of the road by the developer, or the developer simply puts a right of way in there and never does anything else with it, which leaves Lawrence County in a lurch that we can't deal with anything that we don't own.
Okay, so my only resolution is I've got to find out who owns it and tell them to turn it over to the county.
If the county could not accept it in its current condition.
Well, how am I gonna pay the fix?
I think,
I think what Mr. Satterfield is saying is he's trying to work with you to find sources of funding to get the road to where it can be turned over to the county.
and then we would accept it.
Correct.
And
Once it meets the standards.
You been down that road?
Yes, sir.
It's a bad thing.
Yes, sir. I almost got stuck.
My son-in-law, he'll pull me out.
Mr. Satterfield, did you say that you had a meeting planned or were planning a meeting?
We are working on it. We haven't got a meeting yet, but I'm working on numbers.
Okay, so
Would you make sure we, at the next council meeting, we can announce that date whenever you plan that?
I will be glad to do that.
Thank you.
how can I be in contact with you?
I will
See how this is going and but there's no way in the world that people on Cheek Circle can afford to have it up to county standards in the condition it's in. I mean, we're not like,
That is why we've got to find funding.
okay, and you're gonna help me do that?
Yes, sir. I'll be right by your side every step of the way.
If you'll make sure he has your contact info.
All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
You don't have anything to apologize for, it's what this is for. Mr. Sellis.
Same issue, the road is, as he stated, in bad condition. I run a small business, have, 7 vehicles, paying taxes on, running work on constantly. Drive shafts, just from the road being so rough. Delivery trucks get stuck, have to pull delivery trucks out. It's just a constant nightmare. Everyone on the road has problems. Most people are driving cars on the road. They're refraining to it. It's just a constant battle. I put money into the road. A lot of time I bought loads of gravel, put out, spent time trying to spread it, smooth it. First rain, this just washed it out. So, yes, sir, we would love to really be able to see something.
All right, I appreciate you coming to speak, and I know Reverend Kennedy and several others have been working with Mr. Satterfield. And I'm gonna ask him now if he'll just email all the council at some point in time this week and give us a true update. We know you've been working on it, but if you just, so we know, because I'm sure other council members are getting calls too, just so we'll have a good answer. And we can report back at the next council meeting as well, so.
Thank you.
All righty, Ms. Brown. Sylvia Brown. Okay, Mr. Kerry Brown. Okay. Try to read this name. Is it Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Okay.
Evening to everyone. We was promised when they got the water lines through it, that we would have a road. After we got the water, no road. And that road is so terrible. My little car sounds like a little rat. And then my car not supposed to be sounding like that. It's just that bad. It's really, really bad. And Mr. Satterfield, you probably know us. I think I saw your truck.
Yes, ma'am.
But we really need that, you know that. So I know what we can do. I'm willing to help do whatever.
Yeah, I do put faith in our public works department, and I believe he has been diligently working on it, and I do look forward to getting a report on it. For historical knowledge, when was that water line put in?
I'm thinking it's about 2002, I think, 2000 or what, somewhere in that area.
Gotcha.
It's been so long, I'm got too old to try to remember.
With fire hydrants.
Yeah, with the fire hydrant and things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
But definitely, like I said, Mr. Satterfield and his department are diligently working on trying to get us an answer, so I look forward to hearing that report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mosley.
Everything's been said, so.
I apologize, I can't read this next one. McLaren? You good? Okay. Ms. Cheeks?
I've been staying on Chief Circuit. I was one of the first residents of Chief Circuit. That's how long I've been there. Okay, but my question is, if this is a private owned, how was we able to get a grant to get water lines, but not a grant to get roads? If it's private owned, how did we get a grant for water lines?
Good question.
Well, we don't necessarily handle water, but back when it was, I don't know if that was water sewer when they put them in, or if that was Raven Creek. But with those, I assume you pay for that through your water bill. I'm sure all the water lines are grant funded through the EPA normally, or USDA. But that's something totally separate from the road side of things.
But we don't mind paying a little few dollars in tax if we can get some presentable to drive on.
And honestly, I think that might be an option, and Mr. Satterfield will report that back to us. I know in some areas that has been done, and I'm sure that's one of the avenues. Of course, I don't know for a fact, but I have no doubt that that's one of the avenues Mr. Satterfield is working down. And once we get the numbers on the total of the project, what it's going to cost to get it to standard, then he'll be able to tell us what that looks like to make that happen.
Okay, I have one more question. When we was trying to get this water line, at first they said we couldn't get it because it's private owned. They found out it wasn't private owned. That's when we got the water line. So it's not private owned.
Right, well, that's, I guess we'd have to call the water company and ask them what they found out on that side, and I would ask, oh, hey, there he is right there. I didn't see you slide in, Jeff. Go ahead.
The water line was put in early 2000. We did have to get a private easement all the way around the road, a 20-foot easement to be able to get the CDBG grant.
Okay.
And was able to put the water line in that way. So the road was, and I can't remember the name, but the road is owned by one property owner. So we were, and I shared that with Dale. He's been reaching out to me, trying to coordinate, make sure utilities don't have to be relocated if the private cost of on the project. So.
Do you know who the private owner is?
I've got the paperwork. I shared it with Dale, but I can't remember the gentleman.
But how is it property owned all the way around?
Yeah, maybe.
So it's probably owned by him each, but everybody has their own individual lot, but he owns everything. You know what you're saying?
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he owned the road, so the property actually came to that edge of pavement or road line.
So he's saying the road belongs to him, but the property is ours.
Yes.
So y'all will have to go through him in order to get the road done.
I believe that would be.
Well, I just, like you just said, the private owner is dead.
Son has taken.
Yeah.
So how do you go about getting that situation resolved? Because he's not trying to do anything for the road. He never comes in that area. So who do we petition to see that can be turned over to whatever we need to do to get it fixed? Like I said,
I'd ask Mr. Satterfield to get us, I'm sure that obviously with the death, the state would have gone through probate at some point in time, so.
That explains why it can become so difficult, because that's probably been through maybe 2 probates. So in many cases, it's difficult to find out who actually owns.
you can go to the courthouse anytime and find out who owns whatever piece of property you own. That's not a problem.
I'm gonna ask Mr. Satterfield to look into that for us. I mean, I doubt he's got that in his back pocket, but it's definitely something we're working on. And of course, the biggest thing is the price on that, because there's ways to make it happen, but we got to get numbers and we got to do our research. If it's gone through 2 deaths and 2 probates, it's going to take some time to get down through it. Because right of ways, a personal property, and anybody in this room right now, you can go pull their personal property. When it comes to right of ways, that's logged a little different. You can't just log in and see the right of ways on the internet like you can a personal property. But I'm sure that Mr. Satterfield will do his due diligence and get us that when he has the.
I will be asking for some funding.
Thank
you.
That's fine. But we will work hard and do our best to get there. And then once we have the numbers, I think he's going to schedule that meeting, and I hope you'll be able to attend so we can work further on the next step in the process.
Thank you, I'm done.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, and Reverend Kennedy.
Brother Chair of the Council, County Administrator, and the read up there. Only Secretary and I, and my good friend over there, legal forward. This is a Black History Month. It's a time for the council to reflect. Carter G. Woodson was started Black History Day because a lot of truth have been hidden. America have never told the true stories about slavery and this man who was counted named after, and the horrors that came along with it. The raping of children, men, women, boys, and girls. And the unjust killing of my great uncle. Dr. King said this: America has never given us anything. Everything we got, we had to fight for. Unfortunately, this truth remains to this day. Those people are citizens of this county. They hurt, they ate. Their vehicles are damaged by the roads. It would be good if all the council, Brother Chair, would go up there and see how they live, like in a third world country on the roads. They pay taxes. They have paid their county employees. They are real citizens. They hurt, they ate, and they need some real help. And they are bubbling. And many have called me to lead a series of protests on the county council. I have asked them to make their appeal, talk to them. Protesting has never been a problem for me. I was born in C-51, C-Strip for color. I had to fight the federal agencies to make them take the C down in the Black community, in the W, in the white community. I have always dreamed of a different Lawrence, a Lawrence where diversity is respected. Well, a Lawrence where we understand the words of Jesus Christ, who said, the poor you're going to have with you always. But as we look at biblical history, God always looked out for the poor. It wasn't when Moses thought he was the son of Pharaoh when God helped him. It was when he got down and had nothing. He had to be dependent on his father-in-law. He married his daughter. It was then God spoke to him. The God of the Bible has always been concerned about all of his children, regardless of race, creed, or color. The horrors that these people experience, they are unjust. They are wrong. And you do have the power to make decisions. And Brother Counsel, I know from experience, we had to fight for our roads. And they said, you have to bring them up. I said, we too poor to bring them up. But if you take a historical look, you do a 25-year study and see where the monies have gone to different people and where monies have gone to the poor communities, then you will see a tremendous difference how monies have been utilized politically and not for those who are struggling and poor. As president of the Lawrence County branch of the NACP and pastor of the New Beginning Missionary Baptist Church, I have vowed I'm going to fight with them until justice come down like many waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. But I think if we let God come in our minds and hearts, and you be sensitive, these people are brave tonight. Some of them have never come up to speak because historically they couldn't speak, and if they did speak, they could be killed. I am a resident of this county. I live in the county. If I in this town, there was an assassination attempt on my life, and nobody said anything about it. We couldn't even get a police to do an investigation on it. And so I'm going to say and give a shout out to my white brother, hallelujah, up there. He has visited the area and he has vowed. And I'm listening to the words of the chair. I know your granddaddy very well. He walked me in the fields, he talked with me, called me, what you doing? And he was concerned about the people in the hood. He saw a picture from Marvin colleagues up in Chicago, where they took black children and educated them to the level they needed to be so they can have a productive life. He said to me, I said, who will give these kids a chance? In Lawrence. Then he said, dawned upon me, there is one, and that's Reverend David King. I fight for righteousness and justice for the people. Not perfect, but I don't think any of us are. According to the word of God, we have all sinned and come short of the glory of God. Jesus Christ came not to destroy, but to save. And I'm asking you, save the brothers and sisters in the hood. And I think my brother counsel, brother chair, I was so proud to see my white brothers come up here and talk. And so proud of those God's sunburned children in the back. Hallelujah, man, who came to speak. But I think the council needs to really applaud them and thank them. Instead of picking up guns and violence, they're respecting the process. And we move in a nonviolent manner. And I thank God for all of you. But just something for the ears. We're going to face God one day sooner or later. But when we face Him, I want you all to be able to say, we looked out for the people on Cheek Circle, better known as the Lounge Den. I thank you. And I'm very grateful for all of you. But we have to find a way how we're going to have to listen and do something about it. So grateful that brother said, I'm asking for some funds. Hallelujah, man. And God bless all of you. And God bless all of you.
Amen. Thank you.
Bless you. Bless you.
And I do appreciate all y'all from Cheek Circle coming out tonight and talking to us, because sometimes until you do, we don't know about it. So this is exactly what this forum is for, Mr. Stubbs, and I appreciate you stepping up and doing that. And I asked, I know Dale's been working on it for several weeks, and I will say sometimes this stuff takes time. Contractors right now, even on big projects, they're slow getting us figures. They're slow coming to do work. It will be a process, but I do look forward to hearing from Mr. Satterfield some details when he does that.
Thank you.
Standing up. Okay.
Chairman,
I understand.
Commissioner Brink.
Absolutely.
I didn't sign up because I came in at the last and I sit here for quite a little bit thinking about what I just learned as I walked in the door. And I've got to have surgery next week, so it might be a little while before I can get back. It's been a long time since I've been down here. But I'm Reverend Catherine Cullen Evans, CC1. Social minister at Beaverham, the Henry Baptist Church. And I need to remind County Council that a large portion of NRE lies in Lawrence County. Now, I don't know if there are other residents participating in these meetings or not. But I'm going to make an effort to try to work on that a little bit. I have some things going on in Lawrence, NRE right now. Spartanburg County has been very, very helpful and part of what's called the NRE Revitalization Project, of which I am a member. I did invite Sheriff Reynolds, who did attend one meeting. We had members of the Spartanburg County Representative, Housing, Environmental Control. We've had 3 or 4 of these meetings. And I can't let Lawrence County not be represented. Not citizens of Lawrence County not be represented. But if the council doesn't know that a large section of NRE lies in Lawrence County, then you're not going to do anything about it. The way I've always seen it, NRE has always been in no man's land, because we either at the beginning of one county, at the end of the other, and nobody cares about their low NRE. Part of it has to do with the inaccurate census reporting. Census says we only have 600 residents. The 2933 zip code says there are only 6,000 people living in that zip code. So we've got to do something about that. And I just want to let y'all know, Emily still exists. Oh, and in case you didn't know, the word NRE is a Cherokee Indian term that means river of muscadines.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. I always appreciate you. All right. There being no further public comments, we'll move into county council comments, and I'll start on my right, Ms. Clark.
I just want to say, thank all of you that came out to voice your opinion. And it did give me a lot to think about as well, and I will be riding up to Chief Circle to see myself, because my full-time job with school district, I ride through Lawrence County. But I hadn't been up that way in quite a while, but I would like to see as well and to support the resident of Chief Circle to get this done, because I know roads can be very terrible, because I ride them every day myself, over 3,000 miles just in circles around Lawrence for the school district 55 myself. 3,000 miles every day, 5 days a week. So I know how roads can be and how terrible it can be on the vehicle as well. So I do want to jump on board with Chief Circle project as well. And thank all of you for coming out and voice your opinion, everyone that came out to support council tonight. And also, happy belated birthday, Councilman. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rankin.
Definitely.
All right. Yeah. All right. Okay.
I hate to get started, really, because we had a long thing from the citizens, but they do come first before we do. But as I was studying my agenda on this weekend, and an article I found on the computer regarding to a commemorative service that they were having at South Carolina State University today, February the 8th, regarding the Orangeburg Massacre. And it touched me because Sandy will remember, we had a former county council person who was an alumni of South Carolina State. And he would never let us forget it. And I knew there's something about his spirit that came to me, and I know that he would have said something this evening. So I had to just tell you about this particular commemoration that they are having today. And it features the bust of Henry Smith, Samuel Hammond, and Delano Middleton. And they dedicated it today being the 54th anniversary of the Orangeburg Massacre. And this is where 3 young men lost their lives for participating in a march. And if you don't know Ed McDaniel, he's on some of those pictures back there. But he was a unique individual, and I consider him being a jewel. And he is the first Black that served on county council here, Mr. McDaniel. And I just had to lift up him because he came to me in spirit and in thought, and as we celebrate this Black history.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Just a couple things I do, and the part of this job I enjoy the most is taking concerns from citizens in my district and being able to help them navigate that problem and find a solution if possible. It's not always possible, but we certainly try. So I appreciate those that came tonight with their concern, with their problem in their district. It's a big county. We don't know the problems specifically if they're not brought to us. We live in our own little worlds, and we may not pass through each other's worlds at all if we don't have this type of forum for us. So I appreciate that. We are working on redistricting. It's not perfect, and like Pastor Evans said, it's dependent on the census, and the census is only as good as the census is good. If the numbers are right or if the numbers are wrong. So we'll work with that. We'll try to do the right thing with that. I want to remember the Coleman family and the loss of the mother and grandmother. They're our family. They're our Lawrence County family. So we all lost something there. But I just want to thank you for being here tonight.
I've said it once, I'll say it again, I appreciate all you that spoke this evening, and Mr. Satterfield is looking into it, and we do intend to do something about it. We want answers. And I have no doubt Mr. Satterfield will find them for us, so look forward to that report. Ms. Evans, I appreciate you speaking, and I know about NRE, that's it's our family stomping ground, so it's not lost on me. I drive through there 3 or 4 times a week, so. But I appreciate you letting us know, and we'll look into that initiative that Spartanburg County is doing and see what we can.
These meetings have grown to the point now where we've had to cut back on the meetings because of COVID. But there is a great deal of talk of incorporation, even though our Lord Hamlet straddles 2 county lines.
That happens a lot of, Fountain Inn's another good example of that. They sit on the Orange Greenville line,
So we're very serious.
we're Shoals as well.
Chuck Wright has said that I don't know if you saw him on TV or not. Chuck Wright went on TV and made the statement that if you're selling drugs in that week, you better move because I'm coming. Okay, what's gonna happen?
They'll come across the bridge.
Lawrence County.
We'll keep a watch. Thank you so much. Couple more things, just to reiterate the meeting dates for the redistricting process. Next Tuesday, February 15th, 6 p.m., Bailey Municipal Center in Clinton. Next Thursday, February 17th, 6 p.m., Great Horse Town Hall. And then last but not least, back here a month from today, at 5:30 p.m. here in the historic courthouse. Also, Ms. Debbie Vaughn wanted me to mention tonight that the new museum right out the front door here is open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 3. So if you have the opportunity to go visit the new museum and have not done so yet, I encourage you to go take a look. It's a very good display, and they're constantly updating it. And I believe right now we're on a loan from the Smithsonian for another exhibit. So it's pretty intriguing stuff here in Lawrence County. And I encourage you to go check it out. And as Vice Chairman already mentioned, just remember the Coleman in your prayers. Mr. Gary Coleman works for the city across the street along with his brother Jim, our county auditor, and then Mr. Jonathan Coleman, who actually spoke tonight, is head of our LCDC. So we 100 years old is it's an amazing accomplishment for anyone, and it's a great loss to the community. So our prayers are with you and your family. And that's all I have. We do not have anything for executive session this evening, so I will call for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Rankin. All those in favor? 7-0. Thank you all for coming this evening.